sorry for that mini break. But then going on into the verbal arguments and the overview of the allegations. It also says that it was clear that this family dispute, mostly driven by Aaron's family, was trying to take Megan's baby away from her. And Megan has been dealing with Aaron's family ganging up on her, which had happened a lot through the years that I was dating him. Not necessarily by the cousin and her kids and husband, but directly towards Aaron and his mom. And that the allegations are made by Aaron and his mom, and that is the family's team she faced that day, is dealing with their verbal abuse of saying I'm a bad parent, I should go back to Florida, and even being that their second oldest kid was telling me that they were trying to take my kid away from me and get me out of the picture. Why would a 7-8-year-old say that if it wasn't already said before? I mean, come on, get real. And then it's also the arrest and booking reports make it clear that this was simply a case of a family argument among several of the family members until they attacked Megan. The arrest and booking report is replete with references to the argument from every witness. Here's the samples of comments. It looks like it says that the husband of the cousin said that Megan had been had a verbal argument with Aaron. He heard his own wife and Megan screaming at each other. And then Alora's dad says that Megan would engage in verbal arguments with his mother, even though she was bitching about everything I was doing. And what was I supposed to do? Just let it go? No, you're not going to disrespect me and have me by myself of when you have people behind you sticking up for you for what? And he overheard Megan call his mother a bitch, which that's true. Yes, I did, because that's how she was acting. And Megan would tell him to take her side. I said take her side because that's all he ever did in the relationship, and made me feel like I couldn't go to him, made me feel like I was being belittled by him, and never really felt comfortable to have a relationship with him, where it was always his mom recording our arguments when we were in the room, the door was closed. It was always arguments, like being recorded and everything like that. Or if it was me and her at the house, she would always record me, and it's like, really? And then Aaron's mom said Megan was very belligerent, which presumably is a reference to Megan calling her a bitch, even though nowhere in here does it say that all of them were drinking too, other than one person, which was the cousin's husband. Even though it's like, why is it that they're trying to blame me and put it on me of, oh, I was this, I was that, whatever, even though me and the other three were drinking that night. It doesn't say that anywhere in here, even though we all were. And then it says that thus what was strictly a verbal dispute with family members became physical when the cousin got on top of little Megan and was pinning Megan to the ground. Of course, as we know, verbal statements are not a crime, which they're not. Motive, and then this one is motive to fabricate. Please be aware that this family wants Aaron to take Alora away from Megan, which is really the basic for all of these claims, and which is why they ganged up on little 4'9" Megan, which I'm very short. And then in attachment B is just explaining that what a lovely mother I am to my daughter, and has personal knowledge of the nemesis or I don't know how to say it, of Aaron's mother against Megan, and repeatedly threatens to take the baby away, which is true. They have made statements about that. And then for one incident was recently on October 4th, 2021, that Megan had called, that I called my aunt several times, upset that Aaron and his mom were threatening to take her daughter away. Aaron's name is on their birth certificate, but they have no formal bond other than Alora. On 10/4/2021, after one of those calls, Megan had to call the local police, who came to the apartment while we removed Alora and her belongings. At that time, Aaron and his mother were there, and they had been to an attorney to obtain custody of Alora and held up a big stack of papers. And who knows what the stack of papers really was, because, I mean, who knows? And the scheme to take the baby away from Megan continues. On November 16th, 2021, I received a call, my aunt did, from me, that they were going to take Alora to Jacksonville, where Aaron was moving, and we wanted to come to Sarasota with Alora. When we were leaving Vero Beach for Sarasota, Aaron called and asked if we could come to the apartment so he could see Alora, which we did. They both went to the rental agent to release the apartment. Aaron was moving to Jacksonville soon. Megan and Alora stayed with her mother in Sarasota until Aaron, along with his mother, drove from Jacksonville to pick them up. Within weeks, Megan is arrested, and Alora is on the way to Nashville with Aaron, his mother, and their family. As you know, people or persons engaging in family law dispute routinely make false criminal claims to seek the advantage in the family law case. That is certainly, sorry y'all. That is certainly the situation here. Megan was simply trying to make sure that they didn't take her baby from her. Sorry for the lighting, y'all. I apologize, my battery died. And then the drinking activities, the family member asserted that Megan was drinking. However, they were all drinking except for the cousin's husband, and it says it right here. Regarding Megan, there is obvious typo in the arrest report at 3, which mistakes that Megan had 13 beers and 1 margarita. That should have been 3, and Megan had 3 beers before dinner over the period of a few hours, all of them, and had a shot right after dinner, and then the cousin made margaritas for all of us, and I had one as well. Clearly, the group drinking contributed to the hostile and eventually team attack on Megan. Of course, as we know, drinking or even intoxicated while not driving is not a crime. Moreover, to other points, Megan has been diagnosed with a thyroid disorder and has not been on her medication for some time, which is true. I didn't have a doctor. I was moving here, moving there, moving a lot of places, so it was not like I had a permanent place to go to a doctor. Also, following Alora's birth, Megan thought she might have postpartum depression, but was not able to find medical help to diagnose or treat the condition. Following her release, a major goal is to find medical care. Some of these issues may have contributed to her uncharacteristic drinking that occurred, or her unending desire to try and reconcile with Aaron regardless of the threats. And clearly, Aaron and his mom had taken advantage of my adverse medical health and postpartum depression, which I think that is very true, and I don't like being taken advantage of like that, and it's not right. It's not okay at all. And count 1 is Alora, which this charge is particularly disappointing to Megan. She loves her daughter dearly and would never harm her. Even Aaron's mom, who is trying to get sole custody for Aaron, admits she never not see any injuries on Elora, which, why would they do the child abuse thing on me if they never saw it? And I never did. And then it was one after the physical altercation in the bedroom where his mom claims she observed a minor injury on Elora's back of the neck. Of course, the physical altercation in the bedroom is where the cousin jumped on me and pinned me to the ground, which I'm not bashing her. She is always very sweet to me, very kind, and I'm not trying to make her out to be this bad person because she was very sweet to me. However, Aaron was able to remove the child without incident while Megan remained inside the room pinned down until the police arrived. Then it goes on to Megan is 4'9", who weighs no more than 140 pounds. Arrest report at 1. Thus, the cousin had to be some, like, it says 9 inches. I don't know what that means. And it's unfair to allow Aaron's mother, who wants him to have full custody of Elora, to use the attack by the cousin to claim that Megan caused the injuries to Elora. Even the officers described that there was only minor swelling, which is not the evidence of child abuse, especially since the cause is suspect and especially since the cause is suspicious and there are a number of incident explanations. More to point, the DCF concluded and injured that they informed Megan and Laura were fine, and they only had minor scratches, and they were not concerned. Also, please know that the cousin had 4 kids of her own, minor, living in the house, ages 8, 7, 4, and 2, and they all know that, and we all know that, which all these 5 minors interacted in a small house. Injuries and scrapes and bruises are to be expected. And they're kids. They're kids. And then it goes on to say, lastly and respectfully, it is inappropriate for the officer to blame Megan for any alleged emotional distress to Elora when the distress caused by Megan jumped on. Of course, as we know, none of us have memories of events prior to the age of 5. So this 11-month-old child will should not have gone on any emotional distress unless she is kept from her own mother, which is the family's goal. And going into the dad and the cousin's claims, as noted above, these arguments led to interaction which a much larger boyfriend and his cousin. Aaron is a foot taller than me and some 50 to 60 pounds heavier, and is also older, and so is the cousin, and they were the ones being aggressive towards Megan and simply defending herself. Some of the best evidence of that is the report that the cousin's husband, who went to the bedroom to observe that the cousin was pinning me down on the ground, not the other way around. Clearly, the cousin was the aggressor, even though she's never been that way before, to the degree of the cousin's husband was the one separated them. Going on, if anyone truly got bitten or scratched by Megan, that would have been a natural result of her trying to defend herself by much larger assailants attacking her. It is preposterous for them to claim a 4'9" little lady would come after them. Clearly, she was defending herself and probably resorted to biting if necessary to do so. So, I mean, that's just what I got. And then to go into the, give me 1 second.